The following podcast may contain spoilers.
When one of the sect patriarchs, Seth Thompson, was asked, who contributed most to the rising of the Treading the Path of the Heaven sect? Some said, was it the patriarchs themselves? But Seth Thompson said no. It was Yukio Kami, the first sect elder.
It's true.
Thank you so much, guys. This is our first patron-ordered episode, courtesy of sect elder Yukio Kami. He, on our Patreon, reached the level where he got to dictate an episode that we got to do. True. And we are very excited about the episode he chose. Before we go any further, I am one of your co-hosts, Jonathan Kinney, joined as always by my fellow hosts.
I am Bill.
I'm Rich.
I am Seth Thompson.
Is that the first time we said your name? If so, I'm sorry.
No, I think so, but like,
Oh god, he's on the map. It's okay. I've ousted myself before.
yeah. No, I think it's on the stuff. It doesn't matter. Like
When we did that
The
interview,
stuff?
they
It's
used
called
both
the
me and
internet.
yours whole legal name on that interview. It's like Jonathan Kinney and Richard Curtis Smith. I'm like, all right.
That's us.
All
I
right.
mean, I say Jonathan Kinney at the beginning of most episodes anyway, so whatever.
You're right.
But this is the Treading the Path of Heaven podcast. We are a fan appreciation cast for Asian web novels and translated literature. Today, we are doing a very special episode, another one in our series of Nights episodes. As we already said, requested by Yukio Kami. The book we are talking about this week is Douluo Dalu.
we already talked about it, so it's one of those nights.
It's at night.
For anyone that is unfamiliar with our Nights episodes, these are the episodes in which we do not try and hold back spoilers. Our typical episodes, we try and reserve to the first portion or arc maybe of the series and try and avoid major spoilers while telling some of the cool stories. In these Nights episodes, we will straight up tell you what happens at the end of the book. So if you have not read the book or if you care about spoilers, don't listen to this one. Go listen to our first episode about Douluo Dalu. It was actually a pretty fun to listen.
I feel those daggers coming straight at me. I did not read the book.
That's the conceit of our show in the beginning, right? 3 dudes that know stuff and one guy who doesn't know anything.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That was
Yeah.
supposed to be season 1, though.
Yeah,
he
we actually haven't
graduated.
changed a lot of those. So like, that's still ostensibly our concept, depending on where you read it.
Yeah, but if I say Dow, you just don't look at me blankly anymore.
Nah, that's true.
It is good. Yeah.
I have the tropes. I understand the ideas now, at least.
Let's go ahead and start jumping into the meat here. Douluo Dalu is the story of Tang San, the ninja who, at the age of 40, was the most genius member of a ninja sect that had been for the past 200 years, able to create a weapon long lost to the sect for hundreds of years. And he killed himself at the very beginning of the story.
Cool.
Was
Oh no,
character
it's metal.
It is metal
It
as
starts
fuck.
off metal as fuck.
driven to his
Because
death.
like it's a perfect opener because it perfectly establishes 3 things. 1, Tang San's character. This is a person who is a genius. He's able to comprehend this lore that's been lost, teach it to himself at such a level that he's able to actually successfully do a thing that even the elders and leader of the sect cannot do. And like he is, despite that, so loyal to the people that gave him this information. The only reason he did this was because he was a fucking ninja otaku. Like, I don't mean that in the sense of, like, him being an actual Japanese nerd. I mean, like, he fucking loved ninja stuff so much, he was like, I gotta know everything there is to know. So, as an outer sect member, he stole the inner sect lore and taught it to himself. And then, when he learned it all, he was like, well, I better make some weapons to say I'm sorry, presented it to the sect, and then jumps off a cliff.
I remember this story very distinctly.
Yeah.
Think about that though. Like the elders themselves were like, "This is great for our sect." No, don't. And he's gone.
Did we watch like the first episode of an anime or something based
No,
on this? Because
I
I remember
We talked about that
I mean,
in the first episode.
either you described
I
it.
described it very poetically at the beginning.
I was gonna
of the
say because
episode.
I remember what it looks like in my head and not the description of it. So like I'm excited by that
It
concept.
also would be like the first chapter of the manga, so like if you dipped into that at some point in the past, you might be remembering that.
Perhaps.
But either way, like it sets up that he is a master level ninja
Oh yeah, super duper.
When I say ninja, like the Tang sect is a ninja clan, but it's also like a very specific type of ninja clan. It is a master of hidden weapons.
Okay.
So like it is I look like a normal person just wearing a normal outfit, and I have like 200 different ways I can kill you on my body that can be launched in succession, and like you won't know it hit you, because the real strength of hidden weapons, and he understands this being a master level ninja, is their suddenness and surprise. So like if he's decided to use hidden weapons on you, you're probably already dead.
That seems like the way it would go at that point.
Yeah. So the third thing that this perfect setup establishes is that Tang San is 40 years old in his head when this story starts.
Grown ass man.
Yeah, grown-ass man. Has had no female-male relationships, was an orphan, has no familial experience whatsoever.
Just kind of a ship unmoored.
Mm-hmm.
Reincarnator!
But after jumping off this 18-story tall mountain, he definitely died.
Sure.
Was posthumously named an intersect disciple, but posthumously, so sorry, Tang Sect, you lost a good one. I have no idea if the Tang Sect is relevant, and it might be because there are sequels to Douluo Dalu and lots of other things that take place in this universe. I have read none of them, so I cannot speak about them.
Well, you can. You just would be making shit up.
But the only... you know?
Tread the path of heaven. Fan fiction.
Courage.
Tread the path of heaven. False.
So he wakes up. We've kind of already established this in our previous episode, so if you've already listened to that one, we're going to be doubling over it a little bit. He wakes up. He is the son of a drunk blacksmith, and this dude has like lost himself in the liquor. His 2-year-old son, who remember is still a ninja, is like at the point we really pick up in the story. I think he's around 5, and he's literally taking care of his father more than his father is taking care of him.
Gotcha.
He is also cultivating.
He has also been cultivating his ninja arts, but for some reason he can't go past the first stage of the mysterious heaven skill. The Tang Sect, he brings pretty much 4 mystical arts with him. The Ghost Perplexing Shadow Steps,
That
which
sounds
are the
great.
most nimble footwork. It's all about dodging, and it's all based on moving at the exact same time your opponent does. So it's very unsettling, and it always feels like they're moving, like he's moving exactly like you are, so you can't get closer to him. And like when you attack him, he just like won't be there.
But
It's a cool one. He's got the controlling crane catching dragon.
Oh man, where it's like 3 Li Jin catching 30 Li. I don't know, man.
It's the 4 Li pushing 1,000 Liang concept, where he's able to use the smallest amount of force to create the maximum amount of effect. But like he also starts using it with like his spiritual power a little bit, and he like uses it to manipulate his hidden weapons after he's thrown them. The core concept of it is a way to effectively control hidden weapons after they've been thrown.
sure.
and throw big people.
And to throw, big people too, of course. Because it's mastering leverage and force.
Because he's a kung fu ninja. Because he wasn't just like, oh no, I make and am great with hidden weapons and poison. I'm also good at kung fu.
Is this another blacksmith guy?
He's born to a blacksmith.
He's born to a blacksmith, but honestly, other than the fact that he needs blacksmithing, he is more a hidden weapons master than he is a blacksmith. Like, there are other people that are better blacksmiths than him.
Gotcha.
There's not a better hidden weapons creator,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
but there are better blacksmiths than him that he hires.
So he is like a better engineer.
He's blacksmith adjacent.
He's the one who has all the plans for the hidden weapons in his head.
Yeah, okay.
And no one can make them because Tang Sect had a specific blueprint that only someone who knew what to do could be able to make them.
Yeah, he basically, whenever he's creating these for anyone that isn't like his personal companions that he trusts with his life, he like puts a mechanism in it that if it's opened, it just destroys the insides. So like no one can replicate his shit. To the point where multiple times in the series, someone has bought one of his recent sellings of this, and like you see a person like who's been like looking at it, it's like, this is the most marvelous, incredible thing, as Tang San is being brought into the room. It's like, oh, you've got someone, come here, old friend, I'll show you this incredible thing I found. And it's like, oh, that's like the most basic hidden weapon that I make and give out to my bitch friends.
Yeah, I don't know who gave that to you, but yeah.
Also, I'm the one that put it up for auction, and you paid way too much money for it.
Haha.
Also, you destroyed it when you opened it.
Dingus.
It's cool though, we're friends. I'll just give you one.
Yeah, I can give you a better one if you want.
Or just make them, like, you know.
No, speaking of give you a better one, can we talk about Douluo for a sec? Because, like, he's my favorite.
Yes, but, like, I'm going to try and hit this in plot order, so let's get there when we get there.
All right, fine.
I want to do that because that's how Douluo Dalu is told. Like, this is both one of the biggest strengths and biggest weaknesses of this series, in my opinion, is its pacing. Every single chapter of this book feels like you're taking a step forward at a time. You never feel like you're skipping anything or you're getting an easy result. Every single step is an arduous, deliberate, hard step forward. Like, this is not really, like, it's not a Zhanja story. It's not a Wucha story. It is Zhuanghuan, like, definitely. That's like the
Reincarnator.
genre. Like the kind of pseudo Western fantasy. Like, that's the actual thing. But like, it's kind of very much feels in between those two things. Like, people have godlike strength, but there are definite limits.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people are people,
And clothes are clothes?
Except for the people that say that.
but like, so hidden weapons work unless you're like a person who like works on your body. That shit works on you, no matter how many
if you're
rings
not,
you have.
like, spirit masters are like powerful, but they're powerful because they power themselves with their spirit energy. If they're not like actively using their spirit energy to defend themselves, and you just catch them off guard, a lot of times you can just kill people. They're just dudes.
Flesh
Yeah.
is still soft. You
I mean, like,
stab someone,
There
they're
are
still
certain,
stabbed.
there are certain exceptions to that, to the point of like where you start reaching the spirit Doluos and the title Doluos of the world, where their body, like, it's cultivated to the point where their bodies are hard enough to maybe resist some of the lower level weaker stuff. Or, to be honest, anyone capable of reaching that level is a bad enough dude to be able to have some sort of countermeasures, regardless of what kind of sudden shit gets pulled out in front
I
of
mean,
them.
they're like level 80, level 90 dudes.
Yeah, this world has a 1 to 100 leveling system,
Okay.
where each one is stronger, and it's kind of like, it's almost like training your mana pool, or ki, maybe, but it's just like, you gotta build your ki up, and each rank is like more, and at each 10 level, there's a bottleneck. When you reach that bottleneck, you can keep training, but you won't gain any power until you've killed and murdered a spirit beast and drained its soul for its ring.
Hey, man, sometimes you just gotta murder a spirit beast.
That's
And
pretty
when
brutal.
you hit,
It is, and actually it becomes an issue because spirit beasts become characters in the series. Like, relevant, important, actual characters. And so, like, we start getting to the point where it's like, is it really cool that we're killing spirit beasts?
Okay, so there was a point in time where Zhao just developed a spirit ring. Can people do that too?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Then yeah,
No,
we gotta murder.
We gotta murder spirit beasts. It's just what it is.
Uh,
That part never got solved, or really, it just kind of was like, man, this is kind of awkward, and then they're like, all right, well, we got to do it. We're not gonna stop cultivating.
that was their answer to PETA.
Yo, man, we still need oil.
It's kinda
This is bad.
Shit. It's very relevant, I guess, in today's world.
Yeah, it is.
So, like, this series is in 4 major arcs, I would say. I would name the first arc the Shrek Academy arc.
Yeah.
And it's kind of what we went over in our first episode.
Yep. Shrek like the swamp beast.
Shrek, exactly like the Swamp Beast, to the point of it describing his trumpet-like ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds like a Shrek.
And snot green
Uniform, which at some point in the story has become a symbol of pride. So good. Good old Dean Flinder.
I mean, this book definitely dates itself. I love it. I love it so much.
No, Shrek is timeless, dude.
Shrek is life.
This is my swamp.
The Shrek Academy
ogres.
that only trains monsters. But the real point
Onions,
is for it to
flares.
introduce all of the relevant characters of the story. Like, it is really the character introduction arc. It introduces Tang San's father, Tang Hao, the drunken blacksmith, who turns out is the most powerful title Doluo in the world, basically, that we know of.
Yep.
He got fucked up real bad in the past, has a real bad beef with Spirit Hall, and won't tell his son why. Turns out it's because he killed their old supreme pontiff.
Oh yeah, no, that would definitely make
Take
you an
that.
enemy.
It's what he gets for being a bitch.
I mean, if you were good, you wouldn't have been killed.
Right?
So, sorry, back to the pacing of the story. I really wanted to hit that real quick. It is the strength and the weakness. It is the strength of the story because when you get to those achievements, you feel so strongly that the characters have earned them. Like, it is so deserved. And this series does such a good job of making you feel like people are about to get fucked up all the time. Because they do. Tang San very rarely, like, the bottom line doesn't get crossed, but they lose things of importance. They are betrayed. They don't always predict the enemy's actions. They do get caught by people that are stronger from them and suffer actual consequence from it.
I've read definitely the first arc of this, right? Since this is a Knights, could you give me one of the things they lose? Like one of the hard...
Yeah, I'll actually go into it. It was a thing we teased, a thing I was very actually angry about. And it happens shortly after the tournament that we described in our first episode, where the Shrek 7 Devils, their tiger boss, Dai Mubai, who is the prince of the Luo Empire, in that tournament, he wins over his brother and becomes the crown prince. His clan related, not clan related, but like they're like brother and sister, they're related clans, not blood related, but like the two clans are...
Yeah. Bannerman.
Yeah, they get married to produce the emperor and empress of the Luo Empire, which is the other empire that most of the story doesn't take place in.
Yeah.
There's two major ones. There's Spirit Hall. Those are like the major powers of the world, basically. Spirit Hall is the place that basically recruits all and trains all of the best spirit masters in the world. So they have like the elite badass troops. Whereas the empires have like actual armies. They have their own spirit masters and stuff and their own sects that belong to them that they're loyal to. But like they are their own things. There's this kind of strange balance. Spirit Hall is definitely stronger, but they can't attack because their people are made up of people from the Luo Empire and the Heaven Duo Empire. So like if they tried to actually attack one of the empires, half of them would stop doing that and start fighting against them. So, like, it would instantly kill them to do that. But Spirit Hall wants to dominate this world, and they have the capital to do so. A lot of the story is them trying to politically maneuver to put themselves in a position where they can take over the world.
That seems like most people's goals in most of these stories.
Yeah, and they establish all this. So those are the two Shrek 7 Devils, and I only do this because the Shrek 7 Devils are the main characters. Tang San is always the main character, but the Shrek 7 Devils as a group are the main character of this story.
Gotcha.
Yes.
It is just told through Tang San's perspective. He is described as the soul of their group, and that's very true, but those 7 are the main characters.
I mean, like, he literally, in their tournaments, would use his grass to pick them up and control them. Like, pulling them and pushing them into fights.
Like puppets.
Yeah, like they'd be fighting stuff and like they like invest all of their stuff into attack and not into dodging, and then he'd just like pull grass around them and like pull them out of the way of the counter attack.
Because who's better at dodging than the guy who mastered the ability to dodge all
and
this stuff?
And he has the trash Bluesilver spirit, which requires almost no energy consumption. So he can do all this shit all day.
Such trash. Why would it be such garbage?
It's trash because it's almost never has like enough spirit power to cultivate.
Gotcha.
But it turns out he doesn't have a trash spirit. He actually has the Bluesilver Emperor inherited from his mom. 100,000 year spirit beast. Turns out when 100,000 year spirit beasts turn to 100,000 years, they have the choice to turn into humans. And then they can cultivate themselves to the title Doluou sense as a human. And if they do that, they become immortal. Most 100,000 year spirit beasts don't choose to do this because they have to become a weak-ass baby human to do that, and you know, the world's a rough place.
Yeah.
But Zhao, his mom, did. One of the reasons why this whole story exists is because his dad and his mom loved each other, but 100,000 year spirit beasts, even in their human form, can be killed to get the most powerful version of spirit rings that exists, and a guaranteed spirit bone of the 100,000 year level.
Gotta get those random drops.
And those
guaranteed.
are the two most valuable things in the spirit world for lots of reasons. One, they both give multiple effects. Spirit bones are basically like free spirit rings. They buffer your body, they make you stronger in stats, they give you another spirit ability, usually at a pretty weak spirit consumption, especially so if it's 100,000 year bone. So like, the story goes into a long detail and describes very many times why these are such a big deal, but suffice to say, they are treasures worth destroying the world over, kind of a thing. Like, kingdoms move to collect these things.
Heaven and earth, because they're so rare.
Yeah, and so the previous Spirit Hall, trying to ascend to godhood, he needed more strength. So when he discovered that there was a 100,000 year Bluesilver Emperor, he went to kill it. Unfortunately, it chose to sacrifice itself for Tang San's dad, giving him the spirit ring, and also having him become a title Doluou. And then he killed the Supreme Pontiff.
Oh, you want this, huh? Boom!
But also means that his mom was dead.
Yeah.
So then his dad was like, that was like his whole deal, was her. He couldn't go back to his sect. His sect got implicated for this.
Yeah.
And basically had to seal itself throw away its like all its supplementary clans who are also very important because they become part of the Tang sect later in the story.
Hell yeah, they do.
Of course, I forgot.
Fucking Mega Man around.
Of course, he wants to recreate the tank set.
Yeah, because that's when he comes into the world. He has two things. I want to repay my dad with familial love because this is the first time I've ever had family, and I can never. There's nothing more important to me than this. And I want to reestablish the Tang sect because if I reestablish the Tang sect, if I reincarnated over here, maybe someone else from the Tang sect did. So I'm going to establish the Tang sect, then they can come find me, and we can reestablish it over here. So if anyone else reincarnates over here, we can get them too.
That's smart.
Yeah, so like that's one of his goals, and that the establishment of the Tang sect is the second major arc of the story.
Okay.
The one that takes place right after the Shrek Academy arc, basically. Although there's kind of like a weird training arc at the beginning of the establishment of the Tang. He has to
go through Slaughter City.
Slaughter City, super duper dope. But before we get into Slaughter City, you were saying right after the tournament.
Well, right after the tournament, it is established at the end of the tournament. Ning Rongrong, daughter of the 7 Glazed Tile Pagoda School, she can give people just percentage buffs, and it's based on how strong she is, so it's complete, utter bullshit.
It's busted.
It's way too strong. Her spirit has a flaw. It can only go up to 7. That gets solved by Tang San. He feeds her an immortal herb. All of them get fed an immortal herb by Tang San, and it basically like improves their talent to become the people that they are. He eats 2 that gives him immunity to ice and fire, which is just bullshit.
That does sound like bullshit.
It not impact. So like explosions or like, shards of ice still hurt him. But if you were just like cold touch, you'd be like, ooh.
Oh no.
Chilly.
Of course, he would get the counter to grass.
Goosebumps.
Oh yeah. Exactly. That was one of the things I was saying. If you meet a fire guy, you're kind of fucked. But hopefully, you'll have teammates and they can fight the fire guy for you, so it's fine.
No, I'll solve
it's
that
fine,
problem.
teacher. I'll just dig this, and then it'll be in my blood and go through to my spirit, so it's also immune to fire. So fuck you, everyone.
It also invaded my spirit bone.
So, Zhao, there is Oscar. Oscar is a
Sausage monopoly.
food master, which is like, they're awesome, but they're usually like, it's really hard for them to cultivate, so they very rarely get above like 30 or 40th rank. So like, they are incredibly important because they could like feed an army by themselves.
Perfect for logistics.
Yeah.
But like, they're like defenseless and all that kind of stuff. It's really hard for them to cultivate, so they never actually get to like the real strength of the world, so they're always kind of expendable. Not this guy, he's a genius. He's already cultivated to a higher rank, like by the time they meet him. He is Sausage Monopoly.
God damn it.
Sausage Monopoly.
Good old
Also
Uncle
known as
Oscar.
the Big Sausage Uncle. He has vulgar spirit incantations, and it's not his fault, because literally when you gain your spirit ring, if it has an incantation kind of things, those things just appear in your head, and it's like, this is what it is, this is how you use your ability. But all of his things are like, I, your father, have a large sausage. I, your father, have a tiny sausage. I, your father, have a mushroom sausage. A tiny pink sausage. That was fun.
That one gave the berserk ability.
Yeah, stimulating effect. Very strong.
Of course.
No downs. Well, it wasn't like a crazy strong buff, but it was like a berserk ability with no downsides.
That is a crazy strong buff, yes.
Yeah, especially when combined with Ning Rongrong
Yeah.
and her fucking slit 7 glaze. Right. When she ate the herb, her pagoda gained another 2 levels, so now she can cultivate the title Doluou. So, like, she's like, all right, well, you'll be the next sect master then in the school.
Any other 7 devils?
There's Ma Hongzhong, which is the fatty of the phoenix.
Evil Fire Phoenix, who has a phoenix spirit, but it's a variant spirit, so it also makes him really horny.
Okay.
All the time.
But they actually solved that a little bit, although I think old habits die hard. It takes him a long time to start being pure because everyone else has a girlfriend and he's like, man, all you guys are couples and this sucks. So then everyone's like, dude, just like try. Like be sincere. Don't just be a fucking douchebag.
Come on, guy.
And he's like, all right, fine. So he tries and things work out for him much later on. It's good for him.
Much later on.
It's cool. One of his spirit abilities also makes him pretty. So it's like the best day of his life.
Okay, so there's the Hellsevek.
Yeah, Juju King was the other half from the female side. Is Dai Mubai's counterpart. They can combine to create. They have a spirit fusion ability where they turn into a giant tiger. I think they said it was 10 meters long.
That's a big ass tiger.
It's a fucking
and like
huge tiger.
3 meters tall.
That is a massive tiger.
Yeah, it's a very strong ability.
They cannot do it for long. It's usually like it shows up, swats a couple times, and then they like break apart.
Okay, more 7 devils?
Well, there's one last one, and that is Tang San's girlfriend.
Oh yeah, the most powerful one.
Not the most powerful. The most dangerous.
Yeah, the most dangerous. You're right.
Because as Dai Mubai was interviewed much later in life, Zhao Wu is the trigger for Tang San. Only by attacking Zhao Wu will the Thousand Hands Asura appear.
I see. That would be...
Will Thousand Hands Tang San turn into the Thousand Asura?
That's his bottom line.
No, it is true. Like, honestly, like, Tang San is one of, like, most of the time he gives me a very, like, Linley from Coiling Dragon vibe. Like, he's super, like, congenial and, like, chill and pleasant. The second somebody fucks with Zhao Wu, the bloodlust on this dude is crazy. Like, he's like, oh, right, I'm a ninja, you motherfucker.
Oh, that's right. I can kill you, like, by thinking about it. Let's do that real quick.
Yeah, and he's like a child. Or at least for, like, a giant third of the entire book. He's a goddamn 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, like, throughout the whole Shrek thing, like, they're 15 or less. I think Diamond Bai might be 16.
Diamond Bai is 17
17
towards the end. And
You just called him.
The youngest is...
Tang San is, like, 15.
Lindley was 15.
Like when
He
Lindley
was his third brother.
Yeah.
Of course, because that's where all the power sits. His third brother.
Yeah.
I thought that because of Coiling Dragon and Douluo Dalu. But regardless, I say all that, and that is important because at the very end of the first arc, two very important things happen in the finals. One, Tang San reveals his secondary spirit, because Tang San has two spirits, his Bluesilver Emperor and his Clear Sky Hammer. The Clear Sky Hammer is widely acknowledged as the strongest tool type spirit. Bluesilver Emperor, though he doesn't know it at the time, is the king of all plant type.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bluesilver is like literally like crabgrass. Like it's just like everywhere all the time.
Pervasive.
It's pervasive in everything. Since it's everywhere, its domain is everywhere.
Like
So the king of it is the king of all plants. So like eventually he just gains a submissive effect on all plant type spirit masters, and it's hilarious.
There were entire training arcs where he'd just go walking in the forest, like eyes closed, asleep, cultivating.
Yeah, he'd just be like watching where he was going by letting the blue silver grass around him telling him his surroundings. Because he's fucking badass. He's the kind of guy who has like 18 methods to deal with something, and he'll pick the one that's the hardest for him to do to counteract it as like self-training or to like show how badass he is. There's a fight later on where he fights a person on an iron chain. And this whole thing is about like gaining the momentum to fight, and like he goes and does all this stuff. He uses his hidden weapons to catch up. He breaks the chain at one point, and they're having this battle where they're like attacking each other and like attacking the air below them to fly into the air.
That's fucking incredible.
And then like
described.
And, like he does all this and like he wins, and then at the end, as they're all like going, it's like, all right, well, fine, you've proven this. Let's go up and go back to the thing. He's like, all right, cool, and then activates his spirit bone and just flies up. Like Tang San is the biggest case of still had all D's, but like at the same time he doesn't, because he still has like 8 trump cards that you don't know about up his sleeve, usually literally.
Because he was a 40-year-old man when he was born.
40-year-old
ninja
man.
At all times you have to remember, it's like, yes, Tang San was 15 at the time of this tournament, but actually he was 55.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beating a bunch of children. What a monster.
Smacking around a bunch of kids.
There's a lot of really cool shit that happened in the first part. They established a lot of really cool characters and like sex. Like you get to learn, like Grandmaster is super important. That's Tang San's like basically other father. He's the one that teaches him spirit theory.
The
Tang San's
smartest
father,
man.
we just went into this the other thing, but when he actually like realized that his son had inherited his mom's spirit and also his spirit, was like, well, maybe there is hope for me. Maybe if Tang San actually becomes strong, I can do stuff. So I'm going to go try for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So while watching over Tang San's growth and not influencing it at all, he goes and takes care of shit behind the scenes until Tang San's strong enough to actually have a say. At least where his eyes can see it. But that is, at the end of the tournament, he shows for the very first time in public his Clear Sky Hammer, which is relevant because, as we've already established in this episode, the Clear Sky School and Spirit Hall are enemies. To the point where the Clear Sky School had to like seclude itself and go into hiding to escape the wrath of it.
Oh, that's his father's sect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did it because he refuses to lose. He is undefeated.
Yeah, he was in a spirit arena, and it's like his record was like 28 matches in the 1-on-1, 28 wins. 21 matches in the 2-on-2, 28 wins. 28 matches in the 7-on-7, 28 wins. Perfect record. You've risen from no rank to gold rank fighter in one session.
In the tournament, he didn't need to win. It would have just put him at a better standing in the next tournament they were going into. But he was like, nah, I'm not going to let my team have a loss. That would make it to where I can't cultivate later.
So, like, they try and murder them on the way to the finals. They send literal title Doluos, the strongest people in the world, to go and try and kill them. And if their procession didn't also just have title Doluos to protect them, Tang San and all of them would have died right there.
They had, like, level 94, like, 95 dudes right there.
There's so many times where Tang San, like, literally is like, well, this is the end. Let's fuck them up. Better fucking broken jade than an intact roof tile.
And, like, when they sent thousands of black-robed bandits, that was how they described them. He was just like, all right, balls to the walls. They're here to kill us. We'll kill them.
And then he just, like, jumps up and starts, like, unleashing hidden weapons. And, like, they describe hundreds of people just dying. Where he walked, people fell to the ground.
And, God, these were, like, 30-year-old level 30 dudes.
Yeah, level, like, 30 to 40 Spirit Masters, like...
just dying. Like, in droves.
1 come kill 100 come kill 100.
Kind of a thing, until the big boys showed up that could actually do it.
Yeah.
And, like, he was close, too. Like, he was 41 or 42, maybe 44, somewhere in that, like, ballpark. He could fight, like, a level 60 dude to a standstill. 70s pushing it. 90s not.
Yeah, no, 90 is not even, like, possible.
Yeah.
He can't even he can't withstand, like, if they just, like, pressured on him, he would lose. And he's real good at resisting that, as he's proven multiple times throughout the story.
Let's talk about Douluo for a little bit.
Nope, still not there, sorry.
Damn it!
I know, we actually are.
We are, though! We were literally...
I know, but I've already cock-teased the Zhao Wu story. I've got to continue. The other important thing that happens at the finals, it is revealed that Zhao Wu is, in fact, a 100,000-year spirit beast.
Of course.
When they see this, they win the finals. Spirit Hall's like, damn, fuck, we had... Literally, the weakest member of our team that we just brought out was stronger than the best member of your team. We had a spirit fusion ability. More of these people have spirit bones. This is like an incredibly powerful group. I don't know how you pulled it off. Congratulations. Here are the 3 spirit bones that are awarded to the victorious team that we basically pulled out as training rewards for these guys. We really hate giving these up. Congratulations. All right, that's cool. Capture that girl.
Yeah.
And that would have happened. And that would have been the end of the story, because Tang San and all of the Shrek 7 Devils were prepared to fight to the death to prevent that. And then Tang Hao, for the first time since we've seen him in the story, since he beat up his teacher that gave him a hard time when he was trying to enter Shrek Academy,
like around chapter 4,
shows up with his hammer, just smashes it on the ground, and he's like, let's go, fucks.
I've been waiting.
Back.
And they describe him as like having this fiercing, imposing aura like a death god.
Yeah, no, it was totally that anime moment. You remember Yu Yu Hakusho, the dude who had a hammer that was way too big?
Yes.
That kind of moment.
Yeah, no, it's an upsettingly large hammer. And he is the Clear Sky Doluou. His title as a Doluou is the name of his hammer. So, like, he is the representative of this, the best spirit. And is acknowledged. And, like, his rings are, like, terrifying. They're, like, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 red, which is literally perfect spirit configuration until Tang San.
No one else has red.
Yeah, there's no one else that we know of in the world that has a red 100,000-year spirit ring. And he got it from Tang San's mom. Like,
yeah.
That was when he became a title Doluou.
And that's why, like, they said, all right, give me that girl.
So, Tang Hao escapes. He brings them away. Some cool shit happens with training. There's this whole arc where Tang San trains under a waterfall. And at first he has to use a forging hammer, and he has to use their school's method that's like a 9x9 hitting method. That's 81 strikes that all build momentum into one super powerful, awesome blow.
That will spell gods.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of the first things he actually gets taught in the book by his dad before his dad leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if nothing else, you can use this to become a blacksmith and pass your days in peace. But he teaches it, and so like he has to stand on a round rock as the waterfall is coming down on it, and he has to attack the waterfall and get through all 81 swings, and then eventually he gets to the point where he can do that, and his dad's like, oh, okay, cool. And he walks over to a tree and carves out like a weird hammer, like a big-ass hammer with a big like wooden head and a thin handle. And he's like, cool, do it with this. And he's like, all right, this is like nothing. It's literally air. And he's like, cool, if it breaks, make another one. So he starts to swing, and he's like, oh my god, this is harder because it's like a buoyant thing going through water.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the weight of the hammer keeping him anchored to the rock. Eventually gets to the point where he can do this, and like he masters the whole thing, and then he goes to Slaughter City, which we are going to double back to after Douluo. But right after Slaughter City, and this is why I hate the manga, because it just skipped Slaughter City and got so far ahead of Bagel-san that I learned a huge spoiler. Fucking Zhao Wu dies right after Slaughter City.
Rough.
Like, does the same play as Tang San's mom and sacrifices herself. What I didn't learn by reading the manga was that shortly after, she pseudo gets resurrected. First as a bunny, then into human without a soul form. Then the soul becomes one of Tang San's spirit rings. Then they fuse body and soul together. It's a whole thing. And it's awesome.
It's okay. We're not going to let her die like that.
But it was like a big fucking deal. Like, she got hunted by the title Doluos. There were 100,000-year spirit beasts that protected the forest she was in. And they got trapped. And he and Tang San were running away. And the best part is, the motherfucking author named the chapter she dies in Narrow Escape.
Oh, wonderful.
And then at the end, it says, real title, Zhao Wu's Sacrifice, 100,000-year spirit ring.
Mm.
Like,
what a play.
That's something you could only do in a web novel, though, and I really appreciate that. That's just wonderful.
It was a beautiful play, and, like, it was a really wonderful story, but, like, it's not the first time that shit had gone bad. There's a part in the story, like, Ning Rongron School, the 7 glazed tile pagoda school, it gets attacked and ambushed one night, and 2/3 of the disciples die.
That's rough.
No kidding.
The Blue Tyrant Lightning Dragon clan also got ambushed and got massacred to the man, the only surviving people being people that were outside of the sect on missions and shit.
I just want to point out, the name of that clan is amazing.
Yeah.
Blue Tyrant Lightning Dragon Clan.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so good.
That's so many
It was
things
one of the
stacked.
big 3 schools. The Clear Sky School, the big Blue Tyrant Lightning Dragon clan, and the 7 glazed tile pagoda.
Yeah.
Known as the richest school.
Yep, they got the money because they got the people everybody want to work with.
Yeah.
All right, we got to talk about Douluo. I'm not going to delay Bill anymore. Bill, go into it.
Thank you. Okay, so Douluo. Douluo is the title Doluou, the poison title. What is it?
I think he's just called Poison Doluou. That's how intense into poison this guy is. There's other poisonous title Doluos. He is the Poison Doluo.
I would say if he had claimed second, no one would claim first. However,
But Tang San dares to.
Tang San dares. So we meet Douluo because Douluo's granddaughter
Was participating in the tournaments.
Yep, and she was like the emperor team. Like she was the vice captain.
And the captain was a member of the Blue Tyrant Lightning Dragon clan.
That's just like saying it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And
The names of everything in this book are pretty sweet. Like, I can only imagine they look sweet as hell as the very obviously 4-character Chinese names that they are.
she has the jade phosphorus serpent.
Yeah, the Jade Phosphor Serpent.
That sounds fucking awesome too. Jesus Christ.
And she's like a poison control spirit. And Tang San's a control spirit who also uses poison.
Yeah, there are control, agility, power, and defense.
Auxiliary. Food.
Well, food is an auxiliary type, but whatever.
Big shrugs. I
It-
saw them. I
yeah.
saw the
Big
shrugs.
shrugs. And like, I don't know, they like to play with words sometimes, but they say what they mean whenever they mean it. Because like sometimes they're like, oh yeah, no, this dude's weird. He's an attack-based, power-based attack system and an agility-based attack system.
Well, that's because he had a variant spirit.
Well, true that. However,
It's a mutation. That's a different case.
God, we're such
Good old
fucking
Feng
nerds.
Xiaoxiang.
I don't begrudge us being such fucking
Yeah.
nerds.
Like,
but
we're not
God,
gonna-
we're such
God,
fucking nerds.
But yeah, Douluo, he heard, like, his daughter went out in front of Tang San and tried to show off some poison shit. And Tang San's like, sure, whatever. Heal some Riegar. I'll mix it with alcohol. Fatty, burn it. All right, your poison's gone. What next? And she's like, oh, what the fuck?
that's like my best ability.
I cleared it out. So let's continue.
And then they just destroyed them. And it was great.
So she cries to him, and so he decides, you know what? I'm gonna deal with this dude. He dares like hurt my granddaughter.
Show my family no face.
Yeah, exactly. No, he is known as a serpent. Like, he is known as just, like, the most vicious, cruel dude. So, like, he shows up, and, like, the people that are there protecting Tang San are like, we're gonna protect him. And he's like, no, you're fucking not. And then, like, just, like, it takes him.
No, Tang San's just walking home from like talking to Grandmaster or whatever, and just passes out, and then wakes back up in a cave, and is like, they have to go searching for him Xiao Wu has to be held back because she's going to go throw herself. They're like, no. He's in seclusion. Don't worry about it. Grandmaster literally almost fights to the death.
It's pretty crazy. Basically, this is one of my favorite interactions in the entire series because, like, what happens here sets off one of like the best explanations for Tang San in the story. Like, he uses this as cover for the rest of the story. But basically, the poison Doluou shows up, and he's like, you little shitty brat, tell me how you neutralize my daughter's poison, and then I'm gonna kill you. And he's like, why would I tell you that? You're so trash and poison. And he's like, I'm the fucking poison Doluou. What the fuck are you talking about? He's like, you're so poison. You're poisoning yourself. Trash poisoner.
Jesus.
He's like, I bet you feel pain whenever it's raining, like in your joints. And
on the third night, when the moon crosses the sky, you feel a twinge in your left knee that gets more severe as time goes on. And the guy's like, what?
I've never told anyone this.
Yeah, man, you're poisoning yourself.
And more so, you've also poisoned your granddaughter. God, what an idiot. If this isn't a trash poison, what is?
And, like, he just shows utter disdain for this level 91 to 92 dude.
Who is terrifying, and, like, one of the more terrifying Doluos because he couldn't beat most title Doluos on a one-on-one fight. But in terms of, like, suppression power and, like, he could kill an army almost by himself. Because he just walks out and spreads poison mist and they all die. Like, anyone under rank 50 is just dead.
Yeah, no. Cloud kill the person.
And a lot of the ones above that are going to be dead or injured.
But you see, the fun thing is, he has an herb garden in the mountain.
And it's one of the 3 heavenly treasure gardens. Places where plants that shouldn't be able to exist, and things just grow fanatically and too much. And, like, this is his personal poison garden. And it would kill most people that are in it. Of course, Tang San instantly recognizes this as the fire and ice yin-yang octagonal well.
As you do.
I mean,
Well, because it's described in the Tang Sect hidden lore.
ninja shit.
He never...
Basically, there's like a thing that's like the hottest possible thing and a thing that's like the coldest possible thing, and they remain in perfect balance. And so he like uses his ninja lore to pluck heavenly herbs from both sides to get his ice and fire immunity.
And then goes and bathes in the well.
And then just like dives in the well.
And he does this specifically so that he has an out in case Doluou betrays him. He can just be like, well, you can't fucking get me in here. What now?
He basically sells the fact that he's going to be able to cure Dugubow's poison. And like Dugubou raises conditions and fucks with him.
Totally puts like a poison ring in his artery sort of thing.
But at the same time, if it wasn't triggered, it could be used to absorb strength. So like while it was in him, it was building his strength. And if it was taken out, it was fine.
Yeah.
So he gives him a test. He's like, all right, I'm going to try and poison you 3 times. If you can survive, I'll give you a chance to cure me and my daughter because you'll have proven to me that you're actually worthy of like poisoning. So Tang San realizes that there's this herb, this like pink herb that just within a certain distance makes you resist poison.
It's just got a poison force field. Poisons are just like, nah, I ain't about that.
So he just like goes and sits next to it
Just waits.
and just
in
is
the
like, all right,
force
well, let's
field.
go. And so like the guy poisons him and he's like fixes it, and then he goes to do another thing and he uses his mysterious jade hand skill the Tang Sect uses to not poison themselves.
Okay.
And also to like catch blades and do whatever.
Oh, Tang Sec's so good.
It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
good. It was one of the top powers in the world it existed in.
But yeah, no.
They once tell a story about when they pissed off a business client and they came to try and fuck with them. And 10 ordinary disciples just carrying like one of the most bullshit hidden weapons just come out and killed the entire group by themselves. And then like walked back inside. It's a badass sect, and it's really cool. And you learn a lot more about it over the course of the sect, because it's very important to Tang San. I love there's one moment where Tang San has a crisis of conscience, because he's like, other people have such better spirits than I do. I have trash Bluesilver, and like I've been able to bridge that by getting better spirit rings and like getting things above my level. But like I don't know if this is going to be able to continue. And of course Dugubou shows up and he's like, you fucking idiot! Like couldn't you just continue doing that?
I mean, you did skip to the part to where they became the best of friends.
Oh, sorry, I did skip that part entirely. I'm sorry. They become the best of friends, little freak and old freak, because he does succeed in this test.
He not only succeeds not being poisoned and steals a tiny little snake from Doluou. He's like, oh, well, if I don't get poisoned, I can keep this, right? And he's like, yeah, but let it bite you.
Well, sure.
And then he fixes it, and he's like, all right, this is mine.
Yeah, but he just like no-sells all of these poison tests. Like, no problem.
Not even a little bit. So then he's like, all right, so I now have the way to fix you. We got to just drain out all your poison. He's like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, fine. You still got to drain out a bit of your poison, but drain it into something that's useful to you.
Well, yeah, he does do that, but he starts feeding him a medicine, and it's made of the fire and ice stuff that's in his blood is the main ingredient. So he keeps making a thing that's made up of, like, really obvious ingredients and, like, giving it to him. And so Douluo starts going insane trying to recreate this drug so he doesn't have to be dependent on Tang San and can just kill him.
But the only ingredient he doesn't have is his blood.
So, like, he keeps stringing this guy along, like, and they keep talking. And, like, Flinder and, like, Grandmaster all come up, and they have, like, a fusion ability that's, like, a 3-person fusion ability that's a big deal.
Well, there's 3 people. Flinder, Grandmaster, and Liu Erlong. Also a member of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan.
But she has a variant spirit that makes hers fire.
So it's a red tyrant. It's a red,
Crimson.
crimson blue tyrant.
Yeah, whatever.
It's
fucking metal.
metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a monster.
She is known as the slaughtering corner of the Golden Triangle.
Of course.
She's cool.
Yeah,
She sounds cool.
She's a gem.
There's a part where she gets cucked.
Oh, super hard.
And, like, that poor Scorpion.
he gets dismantled. Like,
Tell that story.
To the
That story sounds fun.
Well, long story short, she gets cucked. I'm not going to talk about that part. But the Scorpion, she bursts out and she's like, daring to ruin an old woman's happy time. I'll fucking destroy you. The Scorpion starts to do stuff and she just grabs it and just, like, picks it up and like it's basically the scene with Hulk and Loki in the first Avengers.
Gotcha.
But if after that Hulk tore, like, Loki's foot off and then his leg off and then, like, tendons out and then
I see.
And then started, like, pounding it into the ground to the point where they were using it as one of the spirit rings for one of the people. And, like, one of the conditions for, like, a good spirit ring is that the beast is either super angry at you because that increases the chance of getting spirit bone, or that it's, like, not resentful towards you and then it's easier to absorb the ring.
this one was basically a torso.
This was the easiest one because it looked at the thing that was about to kill it and was like, please take me away from that horrifying monster. I don't want to suffer anymore.
Wonderful.
End it, please.
Free me from this pain.
So these three people come together with their combination that creates a golden dragon.
It fights against the title Doluou.
And, like, starts to win until Tang San shows up and he's like, yo, why are you fighting Poison Doluou? He just kidnapped me as a prank. Don't worry about why would you be doing it? I'm fine. Poison Doluou, did you not tell them you came over here and took me for this training? He's just giving me some poison tips.
Literally everyone else but him is confused. Including, especially Douluo.
But Douluo realizes he's being given face.
Yeah.
And so he backs off, and he's like, yes, I just I heard that he neutralized the poison, and so we've been comparing some tips in poison. He has some very interesting observations. I've decided to teach him a few things.
Yeah,
so then he spends, like, months training with Douluo, and really he's draining, like, other than familiarizing himself with kind of the herbs specific to this world, he's, like, treating Douluo's poison and helping him treat his granddaughter's poison.
But he also, basically as a reward, gets to pick apart the entire herb garden.
Yeah, he just takes all of the herbs in the garden, including all of the treasure herbs that he uses to improve. That's where he gets the heavenly treasure herbs that change the story.
So yeah, Douluo and Tang San, like, basically cover each other.
Douluo's like, I'm not going to tell anyone that I poisoned myself.
And Tang San's like, I'm not going to tell anyone I know more poison things than you do.
Because this is mostly Douluo learning from Tang San.
Of course.
He is giving Douluo pointers on poison throughout this entire time.
I'm your master now.
Yeah, basically. And
was
to
a
the point where
grandmaster when he was born.
they give each other the appellations Old Freak and Little Freak. And that's just how they refer to each other when there's not anyone that can pay attention to them.
Yeah, sometimes even when there is.
Yeah, but only when they have people they trust. Like, in public, they're respectful. Basically, it gives a... Anytime Tang San does crazy shit with flowers or poison moving forward, everyone just assumes it's because Douluo taught him how to do it. When in reality, the entire time it was completely the opposite. And he is gaining a stalwart ally and genuine friend, because by the end of this, Douluo does not see him as a junior. He sees him as a friend and an equal that he can confide in.
They are contemporaries.
Also, the amount of face Douluo gets to gain by Tang San being seen as a kid he's taught a bunch of stuff looks really good, you know?
My favorite parts of this story are when people try and step to Tang San using ninja arts. There's one time where this girl tries to fight him and using hidden weapons, And she like pulls out these daggers, and she like has like 10 of them, and she throws them all, and like each of the daggers has 3 or more leaves, and she's like, some of them even have 4, and she's like, this is one of my best times ever. You're fucked. I spent so much time practicing with these. And he's like, okay, cool. And he takes out a bag, and he just like turns away from the tree and like in one motion throws the bag, and all of the knives splay out, curve behind him, and interject into the tree perfectly, spelling out the character for 3 and also his last name. And each of the things have like 10 or more leaves on them casually.
And perfectly like the same distances.
Yeah, all of the leaves are like exactly the same distance from the tree, like grouped together. And it was so funny because like his companions know him. So like when they see this girl challenge him in hidden weapons, they're all like,
this fool.
No, it's all of these. They definitely have pedals to the metal into the trope of, oh man, oh they shouldn't have done that. Oh no, he has fire and ice immunity after eating the fire and ice fruit and living in the fire and ice well for a little bit. So when he fights fire and ice teams in the tournament, because there's fire team and ice team, literally Blazing Academy and Frozen Lake Academy, like.
It's like, yo, man, we were the hard counter for this guy.
Nah.
You're not.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, we have talked enough about the first arc, and we also mostly talked about the first arc in our first episode. Let's get into more of the fun stuff. The second arc, which I would name the establishment of the Tang sect. It starts with the training under the waterfall, post the graduating of Shrek Academy after the finals of the Spirit Master thing. Zhao Wu goes off. There's like a 5-year time skip kind of a thing. Zhao Wu goes off to the forest to live with the 100,000-year spirit beasts that we now know are her protectors. They're like the overlords of the forest. Tang San goes off with his dad. The rest of the Shrek 7 Devils, the Dai Mubai and Juju King, go back to their empire to go start working on their inheritance. Oscar wants to marry Ning Rongrong, but can't because they're not. The school prevents their people from marrying battle oriented people, because as they are all auxiliary, they have to have someone there to protect them. So Oscar's like, well, fine. In 10 years, I'll be an auxiliary person that can battle. And then he goes and becomes a fucking man. Gets a big scar over his eye. It's so fucking awesome. He gains some bullshit powers. One, he gains a spirit bone that lets him create a doppelganger of himself that can also use his sausage's abilities. Secondly, the other thing he gains is his mirror sausage, which lets him use the blood of someone else to perfectly replicate their spirit abilities.
Disgusting.
And he's friends with all the Shrek 7 Devils.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's so good.
It's very mirror
sausage. The mirror sausage is next level.
He is terrifying. Yeah, no, and when they see that, they're like, yeah, no, fuck it. You can marry. Well, I say that. That would have happened if the school hadn't been so badly destroyed that the schoolmaster's like, yeah, dude, fuck, the sect's destroyed. Who cares about the school rules? Do whatever. But she is my only daughter, and I will fuck you up if she cries.
And then he just flexes for a little bit. You know, like, good thing I've been working on my body.
So he goes here, and then Tang Hao's like, well, you completed that thing that I, the most gifted disciple of the Clear Sky School ever, took like twice as long to do. So good job on that. And Tang San's like, I just want to learn more about how to use this method. And Tang Hao inside is like, fuck you, want to learn more? You're already at the peak. Fuck you. In his head.
Sure. Do this in space.
Like, you're probably one of the best in this in the world, you asshole.
What, he's 20?
Yes. Not at this time, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because he's not 20 until after he finishes Slaughter City.
Oh.
Which takes about a year in story time. Slaughter City is, you see, like, Tang San, and this is actually kind of established early on, although even though he is a ninja and he is hardcore, at some level he is still, like, a little pure, a little naive. To the point where, like, in the first arc, they have this story about where Grandmaster brings them in to fight these badass level, like, they're all, like, high 20s. I think maybe Dai Mubai has his 3rd rank.
Oh, yeah, and they're fighting,
And
like,
they go in to fight
40s.
40s, like, people that are all in the 40 rank. Grandmaster, up until this point, has forbidden Tang San from using hidden weapons to help actually, grow his skills. And so he's like, feel free to use those toys of yours, guys. And so they go in, they all take out the box, the fight starts,
They're fighting
they
this.
shoot it once, and all 7 of the other people die.
They're fighting the Fiend team.
The Fiend team that are like the mad people that honestly are pretty. They've stopped getting fight requests because they keep mutilating or killing their opponents.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
people
Grandmaster's
are
like,
gonna
fuck
fight
these
after
people
that.
up.
Go
They're
ahead.
like,
Use your
yeah,
toys.
he's like, you're gonna. There's no strong person in this world that hasn't had his hands washed in blood.
And straight
Like,
dead.
you're gonna need to start. And so, like, there's this scene of them, like, all doing this and them, like, throwing up and, like, convulsing and, like, dealing with, like, having taken human life.
Baller.
Tang San's like,
No, even he was, like, shook a little bit. Because even he
didn't
had
throw
personally
up.
hadn't taken... Yeah, he didn't throw up, but he was shook, and that's impressive for Tang San.
It's probably because he's got that little bit of poison in there, iron constitution and all that.
he is a 53-year-old little boy.
Yeah, he's a 53-year-old. He's seen some shit.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. Tang San, like, talked with his dad, and he's like, my weakness is burst power. So he's like, well, cool, I'll teach you the clear sky the disorderly wind-splitting hammer method.
That, again, sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, Douluo Dalu. Fucking...
Disorderly
The
wind.
guy knows how to write cool
Hammer.
names.
Yeah, nailed some.
He's like, so now that's solved. You don't have burst problem powers anymore. So now we got to train... Any real experts climbed over countless bodies, and the only way to really gain that is to get, like, killing intent. You got to get some killing intent. So we're going to bring you to a place where you can get some killing intent. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, let me show you. And he extends that Death God domain that you showed. He's like, well, you can teach me, Dad. And he's like, nah, man, you're my son. There's, like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't extend real killing intent at you. So he brings him to Slaughter City. Slaughter City is, like, the den of thieves. It exists because the righteous powers of the world want it to exist, because people that can't afford to be seen on the real world go live in this carnival of depravity and sin.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Australia of the 1800s.
It is
I don't
called
mean that.
Slaughter
I mean, like, in the sense of how the British saw that. Like,
Yeah.
they saw it as a way to purify the land. Like, it's a bullshit, stupid thing to think.
It is basically their penal colony, and they send
Yeah,
people there.
it's like they don't send people there, but that's like how they view it and why they don't, as a righteous sect, go to, like, take it out.
It needs to exist somewhere, so just put it all there.
Exactly. And so, like, Tang San's like, well, this is terrible, and I want to kill this. And he's like, yeah, but, it exists, so don't worry about it. But they go, and it's like, here, 2 cups of Bloody Mary. And the guy's like, all right, sure. And he's looking at the fucking 15 or, like, the 17-year-old kid. And he's like, sure. And he hands him the cup, and Tang Hao, like, starts to drink it. And he drinks it, and he's like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? And he's like, oh, it's human blood.
That's what we drink here. Is human blood.
Oh.
Slaughter
And
City,
and,
bro.
like, the guy behind the counter's like, you want to enter Slaughter City and you can't even handle a cup of bloody... And Tang San kills him. And Tang Hao's like, cool. Yep. He's like a little surprised. He's like, oh, you do get it. Cool. And then he kills everyone else in the store.
All right, well, that might be going a tad far, son. But, you know.
No, Tang Hao's like, cool, you get it. And then Tang San, like, busts the counter open, and he's like, oh, look, there's the staircase. And they just start walking down to Slaughter City. He walks in, they start doing it, and we find out very, like, immediately that there's a very peculiar thing about Slaughter City, and that is spirit abilities cannot be used there. You can summon your spirits, you can use your spirit energy as, like, power and, like, to do stuff and to defend yourself, but you can't activate any of your spirit rings or spirit bones. Your ability to kill and your technique is far more important than your power. Like, even a title or a spirit Doluou could be killed by someone much weaker here.
Yeah.
So Tang San's also a ninja. I think we've been over this once or twice.
Yeah.
To borrow a Chinese proverb, he takes to this place like a fish having found water. Which is not to say he fucking hates it. Like, he despises this place. The whole place is built around this concept of this place called the Hell Slaughter Arena, where you sign up, you have to wait for 9 other people to sign up. They put you in a battle royale, and 1 person walks away. And you have to participate in this arena once a year, or donate 2 pints of Bloody Mary a month to be able to exist. The thing is, you can take Bloody Mary from other people. It's not required to be your blood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. It's
But,
just
like, the
carrying
first scene
around
we see in Slaughter
pints.
City is depraved. It literally describes a guy being killed by a woman as he's orgasming by her spitting a knife into his throat, and then drinking up and starting to drink the blood.
That's pretty depraved, yeah.
And, like, he's like, oh, cool, I don't have to hold anything back. And he just starts, like, he, like, kills people all the time here. He, like, doesn't drink Bloody Mary. There's this one other person who's from Spirit Hall who he meets there, who's, like, the direct disciple of the Supreme Hall Pontiff. And she's also there for training, basically. But for reasons, they don't end up finding each other in the arena. And that's because there are rules that anyone that's won a certain amount of matches isn't allowed to go up against each other, because then how could anyone get to the top?
Yeah.
The thing is, You're not allowed to fight anyone that's not at least 5 levels below you unless everyone is 5 or more levels below you. In terms of how many fights you've won consecutively.
Gotcha.
Survived, I guess. So, like, when someone's walking around, it's like, oh, man, that guy's won 70 fights. That means he's the survivor of 70 people. And that's not counting the fights of the deaths of behind the other people, you know, like, to get to that point. But, like, the whole idea is, like, this blood powers this place. And the people that drink the bloody fury, like, you get slaughter intent here. You're bloodthirsty. What Tang San quickly finds out is that in Slaughter City, the most terrifying thing is not the matches. It's the ambushes after the matches.
Of course.
Ah.
That people do that's actually terrifying. And they describe this one scene where he, after like one of the hardest fights he had in the arena, he got ambushed by 100 people. And it just describes him walking out of a pile of not one intact corpse, covered in blood, injuries, and like no one daring to go near him. And that's when he gained like the name like Slaughter Asura. It's fucking metal, and Slaughter City is like insane. And the manga skips it because, like, honestly, could you find a way to kidify that?
I mean, you would have had to do the manga and play it straight. Like, there's mangas that cover everything.
Oh, yeah,
like
no, but, like, this is the stuff that made Oscar make tofu instead of sausage because they wanted to make it less vulgar.
No.
So, like, there's no way Slaughter City can exist.
Your father has a tiny tofu.
In that manga.
No, it was smelly.
Smelly.
It was stinky tofu that nobody wanted to eat because it was
smelly.
stinky.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It was not as funny or good.
However, I will say it also skipped the Slaughter City arc, so I got to know more of the story before Kitty did.
It's true. As I waited for Bagel-san to catch up to the manga.
It did catch the
Slaughter City eventually ends. They both he and the other disciple get to 100 win streak, which is once you've done that, you're allowed to leave Slaughter City. Typically, you have to do that by going down the Hell Road. And no one knows anything about the Hell Road because after you do that, you either die or you rise as a death god. And there's only been like 8 death gods in the history of Slaughter City, 2 that exist right now in the world. But spoilers, it's the Supreme Pontiff and Tang Hao. Which is why these 2 people don't get fucked with that often. Like, normally the Slaughter City people themselves would have tried to sabotage them and kill these people because they hate death gods. Because anyone that has the death god aura is allowed to use spirit rings inside of Slaughter City.
Oh, no.
Which is to say that they could just fuck up anybody.
Yeah.
It's cool, though. It becomes entirely irrelevant because Tang San does not leave Slaughter City alive. Tang San kills all of Slaughter City. Because when he leaves the Hell Road, and there's a whole big thing, I'm not going to go into that. They survive. It's cool. He gets an important MacGuffin for later. They gain the Death God aura, and he takes one of the herbs he got back in the Dugubo's thing and throws it into the pit of stuff that comprises the core of the Bloody Mary that drives everyone insane and controls their aggression. And he realizes that the Bloody Mary has like some sort of poison in it that does literally drive you insane.
Yeah.
To the point where that when they opened the Hell Road, the Slaughter King like sent out a red light and activated it, and all the people in the stands, and they straight up like Borderlands Psycho style started just tearing and mutilating their own bodies until they died.
Nice.
And the blood from that is what opened the portal to the Hell Road.
Not like nice, but like nice.
Again, this is an intense
series.
series.
It's really intense. I mean, you got to be intense with like the area being Slaughter City. If it's not at least this tense, don't name your city that.
Slaughter City.
Yeah, it's true.
But
like
he gains
aggravated
the
assault
fucking
city.
Death God assault. And then once he's done that, he comes out and he's like a bloodthirsty motherfucker. Like he's a terrifying beast when he escapes from Slaughter City. And even when he's like seeing his dad and like being nice, like his dad brings him to a place to like calm him down. Like, you've got the slaughter killing intent, now let's like temper it so you're not insane. Right. He put the amplifying herb in the thing, and so all of the Slaughter City people had their stuff amplified, and they just killed each other. All of Slaughter City just like literally killed each other in one night.
Nice.
When Tang San left, he was
Easy.
like, "Slaughter King, Slaughter City, this is my gift to you," and then just ditched.
You slaughtered Slaughter City.
Threw a grenade in it.
No,
and
the
left.
Slaughter King. Does he exist off the blood of the people that are dying in Slaughter City?
He's just a strong dude. He's like the strongest dude.
And him giving the gift to Slaughter King, pretty much, does he doom, or did Slaughter King also kill himself because of it?
Definitely, for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if he killed himself, but like the city collectively killed themselves.
Gotcha.
But Slaughter City ends. He gets brought to what turns out to be his aunt's home. His aunt, a member of the Clear Sky School. And she is a variant spirit, so she's never been able to go past 10 ranks of Spirit Pillar. But she's one of those people that has used words to just become one of the most important people in the world.
Oh, she's a politician.
She's the owner of the Moon Pavilion, and she teaches people politics.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
So
So-
she
and
is a
he
politician.
becomes
She's
the
like the
star-
ultimate
Yeah,
politician.
he becomes the star pupil of this. So he then learns how to manipulate people and like hide his own intent. And this, I think, this is like the end of his establishment arc of who he is as he becomes Tang San. It is both the end of the Shrek Academy arc and the beginning of the establishment of the Tang sect, but because it establishes Tang San as the person with the strength to do the things he does.
So I need to sum this up. Just at this point, Tang San is an elder statesman, ninja gladiator, spirit master of the Clear Sky Hammer,
Twin spirit master.
twin spirit master.
Bluesilver Emperor, which is his main spirit that he's cultivating. Because keep in mind, the reason that he only cultivates that is because if he cultivates his body up to the point where he can withstand 90,000 to 100,000 year spirit rings, then he can take his first spirit on his hammer as a black to red ring.
And you could just have black to red rings all the way up the hammer. And
Ooh.
then he'd have 18 rings, technically.
That's disgusting.
That's not fair.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Well, typically people's bodies explode.
that makes sense.
Yeah, typically. There's been two twin spirits, one that succeeded and one that blew up when he tried to cultivate his other spirit. So he's like, 50-50.
We'll see.
I'll take the mods.
I mean, like, we learned about this when it was so early that it would...
But it's cool because that other person in that calculation becomes a relevant character and is the other person with twin spirits and becomes a rival of Tang San's and is defeated shortly before his real rival actually takes the scene. Oh, man. Fuck you, John Renjue. So after he does this, he's like, cool. His dad brings him to this thing. He gives him the whole story of what happened to his mom and his dad, which has to this point been a mystery and is a very big revelation. This story's really good at and having its transition parts be marked with like really big emotional moments or like emotional answers to questions. You finish the Shrek Academy arc, you're rewarded with the emotional reward of the reunion with his dad, and then after that, after he earns it, the answer to his past. Once he's got that, he's like, all right, Dad, well, I'm going to take on all your stuff. His dad, when he goes back to find his dad, has ripped off his arm and his leg that contains the spirit bones of the sect. Normally, to remove a spirit bone, you have to die, but title Doluos are instead able to just lose a spirit ring and 10 levels of cultivation. So he cripples himself so that he can return the spirit bones to the sect, so that Tang San can go and offer respect to the sect and the ancestors.
He paid an arm and a leg.
So what is the value of paying out to the?
They get the spirit bones back, which can be given to outstanding disciples or the sect master or whatever. They're sect property. They were awarded to him for outstanding merit to the sect. But he is no longer a disciple of them. Like, he has not gone back to the sect since the thing happened.
So
because he hasn't felt worthy to. Like, he felt like he's dishonored.
So they
So he's being
repossessed
filial.
his bones.
They didn't ask him to or to do
Yeah,
anything.
okay.
This is something he did to prove his sincerity, kind of a thing.
I mean, dang, this says a lot about Tang Hao. That's a really dedicated dude.
Oh no, dude, the whole family is hardcore, and that's like, again, when I said that it established Tang San's character at the beginning, like, he is the person with literally unwavering spirit. He will do what he sets out to do or die.
He walks the path of perfection. He will not allow anything to stand before him.
Yeah, it's so fucking awesome. I love this story. He goes to establish the Tang sect, and he's like, all right, well, I need to do this. He goes and talks to the Clear Sky School. They give him these 3 outrageous conditions where he has to become a 80th ranked power within 10 years. He's like 60 something at this point, which is also insane. Like, youngest spirit master at this level easily.
They should be like, yes, join us, yes.
Well, no, absolutely, they are tempted to do that, but also Tang Hao did like basically ruin their sect, so there's
Yeah.
his uncle is the sect master, but the sect elders are pissed at him.
Gotcha.
The caution is founded.
And there's been kind of intersect tension between those two factions already. So him appearing is kind of being used as a
He's a hot button topic.
as a pivoting point for leverage against the others. And so him being able to prove his strength does that. And then the whole like iron chain fight that I was talking about happens. It's great. Because basically he was like always showing proper deference and always doing these things, and then he's done. He's like, but you talk shit about my mom, so sect elder, I respectfully request to fight you.
Wow. Okay.
Keep in mind, at this point, he thinks that the Clear Sky Douluo like only has like 2 title Doluos, so the elders are going to be like 70th to 80th rank. And although it's going to be hard, he does expect that he should be able to do it. Turns out, 7th elder is a title Doluo. The Clear Sky School's 20-year seclusion has not been in vain. Damn. And they're fucking metal as fuck. So they're like, all right, well, we were going to open the seal on the sect and go out and like cause some hell, but now that you've existed, we're going to delay until you're ready because that would be smarter.
Smart.
So go
Less
do
fun.
these things. If you're able to complete these ridiculous tasks, become level 80, kill a Spirit Hall title Doluo, methods don't matter, and get 100,000 year Spirit Ring. He accomplishes the 100,000 year Spirit Ring like almost no time after because the Zhao Wu thing happens immediately after that. The Shrek 7 Devils set a 5-year reunion. He goes and meets them. Oscar and Zhao Wu are the only ones there. He's like, I'm going to go get Zhao Wu. The Spirit Hall thing happens. She dies. They comes back. Then he's like, all right, Spirit Hall can't exist under the same sky as me. This is my life now. I will establish the Tang sect to destroy Spirit Hall.
It's just like Coiling Dragon.
Yeah.
Almost
Just like
to
my
a
Coiling
T.
Dragon
There's-
anime.
Dumbass.
There's
Church.
not enough world for us to both exist in it.
There's one part where they were like, I need to avenge Zhao Wu, so I need to kill everyone that surrounded us, and that'll include the 2 title Doluo from Spirit Hall. And Spirit Hall's like, I really want you, Tang San, so I can do that. But you have to become this level of power first, otherwise it's not worth it for us. And he's like, all right, that's fair. All right, fine. What's your second condition? I need to avenge the enemy of my parents. All of Spirit Hall is their enemy.
You gonna go?
Fuck you. And he's like, I told you couldn't meet the requirements.
You of all creation.
Honestly, the audacity of Spirit Hall to try to rope him in, like, yeah, man, it's cool.
It was kind of a thing where it was a fellow genius talking to a fellow genius. Tang San, like, in like multiple different ways influences the world in ways that the world like doesn't really like make a big deal about in the story. Right when he starts training, he immediately proves a theory of Grandmasters called the 10 Great Core Competences, which basically says you can absorb rings from other animals as long as they mimic a quality of your spirit. But no one had ever actually tried it, so everyone assumed that if they did, they would die. And Tang San's like, no, Grandmaster, you're awesome. I will put your theory to test with my life. And he does this with like one of his first rings. And like, I think maybe actually his...
I thought it was,
maybe it was his second.
third.
Maybe. The man-faced poison spider.
Man-face devil poison spider.
Demon spider.
Man-face
Man-faced demon spider.
It's
Yeah.
Everything is so awesome sounding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also,
geez.
the fucking Zhao Wu and them got caught because a 30,000 year one of those ambushed them while they were running from Spirit Hall. They were basically going to get away. And then one of those is like, ooh, pray, and attacks them. And the fact that they had to, like, deal with that and, like, took a few seconds to deal with that let them get caught up to and surrounded. And Tang San, by the way, straight up tried to kill himself before Zhao Wu did. Tang San ripped out a spirit bone, which, like, as I mentioned before, costs your life if you're not a title Doluo. Threw it to Zhao Wu because it was the spirit bone that gained flight. So, like, he throws Zhao Wu up in the air, rips out a bone out of his leg, throws it up to her,
Oh, shit.
and then takes his poison needles and just starts to stab it into his own heart so that she can't sacrifice himself because he sees it coming. And she's
No.
like, nope, sorry, can't let you do that. Teleports to him because that's one of her abilities and sacrifices before he can die, which heals him.
What the fuck,
God
yo?
damn.
Damn. This sounds something like I want to read that part. That sounds so awesome.
But, like, that's what I say. Like, things happen.
God
Like,
damn
things
it.
with actual consequence happen to the main characters. They have plot armor in the sense of they're not going to probably die. They do not have plot armor in the sense of things are going to necessarily turn out well for them.
Yeah.
Where in the body is the spirit bone?
There are
On
6
bones.
slots. There's the skull bone, torso bone, 1 in each of the limbs. And then there's also, like, an external spirit bone, which is kind of like a miraculous thing. Other than the 100,000 year red spirit ring, it's the highest treasure among all things because it doesn't fit into one of your slots. It's basically an outside equipment slot item. Tang San has one. His 8 spider lances.
He just has spider legs.
You know Invader Zim's, like, spider leg backpack?
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine 8 of those, just that, like, exist in his ribs and come out of his back. They're poisonous, can drain, and constantly evolve with him. To the point where he has his second spirit awakening, where his blue silver glass really becomes the Bluesilver Emperor. Because that's one of the things that Tang Hao does. He brings him to where his mom is, because when his mom did the sacrifice, Bluesilver's like 100,000 year ability is immortality, which is why Spirit Hall was a whole big thing, because she was like, all right, well, if you let him go, I'll sacrifice myself to you, and that's the only way you'll get me, because otherwise I'll just keep coming back to life. She did the sacrifice to play them, basically. But then she like left a seed behind, so he had planted the seed, and Tang San shows up and like it immediately grows in response to his spirit, and then he like feeds it some blood and it grows some more, and then like he's like, I know, fuck, you've been waiting for this to grow? And he just brings his dad to Douluo's plant growth place.
Of course, yeah, that's the spot.
So that he can live his retirement out there waiting with his mom. And it's like super awesome. And then his dad's like, yeah, don't worry about like, necessarily, like, don't hurry back to see me. I'm cool. This is like beautiful. Oh yeah, also his dad's like heavy internal injuries. He took all the shitty blood clots and forced them into the arm and leg that he cut off. So he also healed himself by crippling himself.
Genius.
What a monster.
Uh-huh.
The family's ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, no, he's oh god. He's cool. Yeah, he was definitely like the talent of the generation, like the person who broke all expectations and was the idol of a generation. And Tang San is recognized by many people to be more talented than he is.
Because
he breaks milestones like way earlier than him.
This sounds like the establishment of the Tank Sect arc is wrapping up. What's the last
Well,
arc?
it isn't, because I haven't barely touched on it, because the important part is who he ropes into being the Tang Sect. The old 4 subsidiaries to the Clear Sky School.
Ah.
the elephant one.
No, none of those.
None of those?
No, those weren't in it at all.
Oh, yeah, no,
those are
strength
that
set.
4 elemental. Yeah. These are the pure clans. The people that only harvest one type of spirit for all of their rings to like maximize the effect of their spirit. So like this is the strength clan that only kills this one type of orangutan. There's the speed clan that has this one type of crane they kill. There's the breaking clan. I don't actually remember what I think it might be a monkey. Oh no, wait. It's a goat. It's a goat.
Of course it's a goat.
And he is very stubborn.
Yeah.
And he's also the most badass. He's both the master of medicine / poison among them, and also the one with the soul breaking lance or soul piercing. I don't fucking remember what it's called. It's so cool though. So like people that can like store attack power and build momentum. He's among the top 3, even including all the title Doluou in the land. Every single one of his things is about like piercing through harder to hit you harder. Like his ring's abilities are like pierce, explode, shock,
Shatter.
It's just like all, and like they describe like his fight with Tang San, and like he literally fought the Speed Clan and was able to like dodge out and use his ghost steps to fuck it with the guy. Against the spear guy, like he had to keep aggressively teleporting using his spirit phone.
Oh
yeah, by the way, Tang San gains both the ability to fly and
And
teleport
teleport
as a
from the-
ninja.
Ugh.
Oh, because his girlfriend sacrificed, and her thing was teleporting. So
It also gained her. It also, because Spirit Bones from 100,000 give 2 abilities. It also gave him her invincible golden body, which for 3 times a day lets him just be invincible for 3 seconds. It does have limits, but they
That's
don't show up
ridiculous.
until you're like 95-ish rank or like 100,000 year Spirit Beast.
Fuck's sake.
That is another thing. There are so few people who actually matter. Spirit Masters are like the 1 in a million, and they're like,
The only important people in the story.
and they're the people like this is level 1 to 100. Level 1 dude is still 1 in a million. Talking about like the 10 at maximum title Doluou. People 9
No, there's not 10. There's like they estimate around 20 a little bit later on.
Oh, yeah.
There are 10s. They say.
Okay. Still,
But like there's title Doluou are people that are ranked 90 or above.
yeah,
There's less than 20 on the continent
that's just like literally the 1% of the 1%
that they're aware of.
Gotcha.
of course you got the ones in seclusion.
Like,
Yeah.
like the ones in the Clear Sky School.
Yeah,
No one knows about that.
it's like in Hunter x Hunter where there's like you run the only people who matter are the nin users,
It's
but
like
nin is the 1 in a million. So that means all these nin users that end up dying is like big, technically giant impacts. That's
Yeah.
a genius dying every single time.
Oh yeah. Even if they're a jobber with like a worthless nin ability, they're still better than Joe Schmo who never learned.
Yeah.
But each of the breaking clans each have their own ability. The Strength Clan is a school of blacksmiths. So perfect for Tang San because he wants the Tank Sect to be all about producing hidden weapons. He wants that to be their main source of income. He's got the Glaze 7 Tile Pagoda as their first client. as well as the Heaven Do Empire. Basically, they say anyone who's not Spirit Hall will sell to.
Yeah.
It's a good approach.
Yeah.
And if you point them at Spirit Hall, he'll sell you twice.
But he's got the Breaking Clan, which is like when he goes to get all these people, they're like having their little gathering, and so like each of them start coming in one by one. The Strength Clan is already like, the other clans are already a little bit angry at them because they wanted to follow Tang Hao anyway. They thought what he did was right.
Yeah.
And that it was Spirit Hall being fucking bullies that caused the situation, not Tang Hao at all.
Yeah.
Which is not an incorrect
I
assessment.
respect the
No, it
Strength
sounds
Clan.
like it, yeah.
They see the problem.
Earlier on, there was actually a thing where like this dude's grandson was flexing on Tang San when he showed up because he was into Zhao Wu. And so like Tang San was like beats him effortlessly. So the guy's dad shows up and like challenges him to a thing. And then like they make the joke, well, if the dad shows up, is the grandfather next? So then the grandfather does show up and like tries to like basically kill him with pressure. But then like eventually to escape, to resist it, he brings out the Clear Sky's hammer and the guy's like, oh shit, young master, are you all right?
Oh, you're one of those. Hi, hello.
We serve you.
Yeah.
Immediately. He literally begins to label himself this slave.
Wonderful.
Man, these are great bannermen. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, dude.
They are.
He was like a level 80 dude. But
Dude,
he was
King of the
Level
North.
80 divine blacksmith, Titan.
King of the North.
Titan.
Titan.
But no, they vice president of the blacksmithing association. The president is also recruited into the Tang sect.
Of
because
course.
Remember those scenes I told you about of people having just found one of his weapons and feverishly trying to understand how it was put together and praising whatever genius built this? I have to meet them as they bring him into the room.
It was I.
And he's like, oh, that godly Zhuge crossbow? I mean, that's like not even the improved version.
We got a better model out.
Teach me how to build this. I'll immediately upgrade you to a smith scholar, the second highest tier of scholar.
Fucking fantastic.
And he's like, oh, I don't know. They like jokingly talk about it because they want to try and get like a good relationship with the blacksmithing ability. What they actually end up doing is recruiting the Divine Craftsman because he's like, if you're only going to show those blueprints to people in the sect, I'm being a part of your sect. He's like, you can't ruin the Blacksmith Association. You're the president of the Blacksmithing Association. Let's go.
We're done here. I burn the bridges. Let's fucking leave.
And they have another one of those rare moments where they talk about like a scene of someone talking about the future, and they're like, because of this simple conversation, no one knew it, but much later, when the weapons from the Tang sect were found around the world, only those with Divine Craftsman Luo Guo's name were considered divine tools, valued only less than those that bear the name of Tang San. But like they established this, they have the Speed Clan, which is literally the fastest clan in a straight line. They describe the person who's like only like a rank like 80 thing as literally the fastest person in the world, which is true.
Fastest man alive.
Like they say basically like he could cross the world in 3 days.
How massive is this world, by the way?
I guess pretty big. I don't know. They talk about it. It's not something I could go into really. But basically they're like, man, we suck. We have no attack power. We have no defense power. We're really fast so we can dodge and stuff, but we can't hurt people. And Tang San's like, well, what if you had all these?
It's like giving a tiger wings.
So they're like, oh, yes, we'll absolutely do this. Please sell us a set. And it's like, oh, I know you're poor, so I'll give you a set for 120. And like the actual set does cost 180, so that is actually a really great price. He's like, oh, thank God. This will be so great for my clans member. He's like, oh, no, that's the price for one. And he's like, well, I guess you'll just have to become our clansman. But he basically keeps betting with each of the heads of these clans and winning, proving his own strength. So, like, he goes and bets the defense guy, and he's like, all right, let's go. Without using defensive attacks, we'll each just take a punch from each other 3 times, and if I can endure it, it's my win. And this is literally talking to the head of the defense clan.
Yeah.
The man with possibly the toughest body in existence.
The hardest body.
And so he goes and, like, he does, like, a joking punch, and, you know, the guy's like, yeah, sure, that's what I expected. And, like, the guy gives a nice, easy punch back. And then on his second one, he does, like, a real punch where he, like, puts the Death God aura that he gained in Slaughter City around his fist and, like, uses his Mysterious Heaven skill and his Mysterious Jade Hand and, like, puts everything he can into hitting it. And he's, like, hits him, and the guy, like, walks back and, like, coughs a little bit. He's, like, actually shocked that he did this, and he's like pissed. He's like, all right, so you were just fucking around on that first one. All right, fine. And so he like starts to go back and like hit him back hard. Tang San is also shocked because he's like, how did I not penetrate his skin?
I expected to at least hurt him.
And then the guy punches him and he gets back and he's like, Tang San gets up because like he has an insane body at this point as well, between the various herbs that he's eaten and the ice and fire thing, and the fact that he has like 4 or 5 spirit bones at this point, and 100,000-year spirit ring, and has twin spirits. Like he's just like, his body is one of the top constitution.
He way too
bodies.
strong.
Yeah, not even necessarily strong. Like constitution is a better idea of it. Like
he way too conk.
Which is not to say he's not strong, but that's what it is.
He's hard.
So like he's fighting this guy, then the guy's like, all right, so what are you gonna do now? He punches into the air, and the guy's like, what are you doing? And then he starts like turning and like swinging his arm, and the guy realizes he's using the hammer method, the 9x9
Yeah,
hammer
he's
method
building
to store
energy.
it into his fist. And the guy's like, shit. Shit. And just sitting here watching him in front of him doing it. And he punches him, literally punches a him-sized hole through the wall. And like, it's so good because the timing is hilarious. The guy's son walks in and he's like, oh, Uncle Titan, who's this? Where'd my dad go? I can't imagine that he would leave you here by yourself. And like at this time, his dad walks back in through the hole, like covered in dirt and looking pissed. And he's like, all right, I released my spirit to resist that, so you already won, you fucking asshole.
Oh my god. I can like visualize that. Like that's great.
And then he competes with the granddaughter of the Speed Clans person, not revealing what his like how strong he is, because again he looks like a 20-year-old. Everyone is assuming he is like in the 40s at best, because that's still a very smart person.
Yeah.
Who's worked very hard. He is, I think, 66 at this point, and it gets harder pretty much like once you get above 30.
Pretty much geometrically.
Like it's harder every rank is the idea, and with certain bottlenecks getting it even harder. But they're fucking just like going after it. He competes with them in speed. He uses his ninja things to dodge the girl. He fights the Breaking Clan, which is just awesome because it is a legit fight. Like in all the other ones, there's always like handicaps and conditions that kind of gives him an advantage. But in this one, he's just like, let's fight.
Let's fuck each other up.
And the best part is the guy's a medicine freak, and Tang San has already won the heart of Douluo, so we know how this is going to go. He shows up and he's like, why didn't you just bring up medicine at first? I wouldn't have had to fucking have that embarrassing fight, you asshole.
I could have just medicined you away. Come on.
You didn't ask for me to make a medicine check. Shit.
So like that establishes the Tang sect. They all come together and join under his group. So he establishes the Tang sect, establishes Medicine Hall from the Breaking Clan that's dealing in medicine and poisons, establishes Speed Clan, who becomes their actual ninjas equipped with the hidden weapons and transformation and shit.
Hell yeah.
And like to the point, like they're one of my favorite clans. Like there's this whole thing where Tang San literally stops a 20-year plan to rout the Heaven Do Empire's imperial family almost by accident. Because like they had an imposter prince who had been undercover in the imperial family for 20 years, who was actually the former daughter of the previous Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall and inherited their angel spirit. I think literally Seraphim. He walks in, realizes, hey, the Emperor's poisoned, starts to fix the poison, kidnaps the Emperor so that he can't be killed, and then the guy's like, shit, my identity's exposed. He literally captured the Emperor and we lost our 20-year plot. We have to retreat now. We can't win.
That's
20 years of work.
And don't get me wrong, there was like a really, really intense fight that preceded that. Like he earned it.
It wasn't a yoink.
It was not a gotcha moment.
Yeah.
And he just idly strolls in. He's like, oh,
And that was actually Qian Rinjue, the person I mentioned earlier as his ultimate rival.
Gotcha.
Because, as I said, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the last arc is his ascent to godhood. Because
you did not. You did not mention that his last arc is
figured
ascent
it
to
was
Godhead.
like destroy. I figured you were gonna be like destroying the Spirit Palace, but apparently
no, that pretty much happens right at the end of the story. That is one of the final things that occurs. The ultimate conflict between Spirit Hall and everybody. Because eventually the two empires like join together to fight him. There's this whole like army scene and stuff. But that happens way later. The Tang set basically gets established. There's a bunch of cool stuff that happens in there. I won't spoil it all. After that, basically, for reasons, Spirit Hall does a bunch of plans, but they're like, Spirit Hall's gonna have to lay low. We fucked them up really big this time. They had huge losses. They're gonna have to recover for X amount of time. Grandmaster's like, you need to go train at this place. It's the only way you're gonna be able to meet the requirements for what you need. And where he sends them is Sea God's Island. It's an island where no one that goes there is allowed to leave. But the people there are terrifyingly strong. No one, including Spirit Hall, goes to fuck over with Sea God Island. You can't beat them because they're surrounded by water and they can beat anybody in water.
Of course. It's their realm.
So this starts a whole bunch of different stuff, and we get Tang San getting a bunch of really cool items. And it starts his weird ascension from his normal self that we establish to his eventual godhood self. Because Tang San is accepted as the successor to the sea god. And gods, it is established, is what you achieve godhood when you reach 100 ranks of spirit power.
Okay.
There's a lot to it. There's like, you have to kind of accept a legacy. It's really hard to legitimately do it. Most people use like a set of spirit bones that kind of like cheat you into qualifying for it. That makes it way easier. And then they use other people to reduce the pressure on you so you can do it.
Gotcha.
Not Tang San. Tang San did it like the legit way.
Oh yeah, he condensed his own divine spark.
No, but might as well have. He earned the approval of the sea god by completing trials that were insane. And like basically, when he gets to the sea gods thing, they're like, we're gonna fuck you up, you bastards, you can't ever leave, blah blah blah. And then they immediately realize that these people are the actual people that they've been waiting for, the successors to the sea god. And the whole thing swaps, and now it's all about helping them. And then the rest of the series is basically these Herculean tasks that the Sea God's Island grants them to make them qualified to possess like their new power and be the people for Spirit Sea God that they're
So it's not
destined to be.
Tang Song on Sea God Island. Is it
Nope,
the worst?
all the Shrek 7 devils go along.
Hell yes.
And Zhao Wu actually does get resurrected around this time.
This is when she's no longer a bunny.
Well, and actually, no, she gains her human form around the time where they meet the Breaking Clan, because the Speed guy is real tight with the Breaking Clan guy.
Sure.
And gave him a heavenly herb that was supposed to be used as like the bait to entice him. But as soon as he put it in his like treasure that he keeps it and was also keeping Zhao Wu in, despite the fact that she had never tried to eat any of his herbs or like garden or anything before, and he was paying attention to make sure. As soon as he put this in it, she like attacked it and just like ate it down. And it turns out it had a synergistic effect with the Yearning Heartbroken Red, the immortal flower that she didn't eat, but has like a weird connection to her. And she did actually eat it once she became a bunny, but that was a whole different thing. But the reason why she didn't eat it, it turns out, is because she was missing the synergistic effect from the other part. So she eats this, she regains her human form, but she's like soulless. She still has kind of like bestial instincts sort of thing. That happens for a while. There's like a weird thing where like her soul is in his 100,000 year spirit ring. The ability for that, by the way, is nothingness. He just like stops being. So physical attacks 0%, energy attacks 50%.
Like sort of like phasing.
Yeah, it's very dumb. It's very strong. And like a lot of this book is just like the fucking game mechanics of how cool the fucking level ups and things they get.
Sure.
But Tang San gets like this fucking trident that represents the sea god that weighs 108,000 gene, but in his hands only weighs like 1.
Ah, so Thor's trident.
Basically.
Wonderful.
But the weight is there for everyone else.
Well, yeah, as it would.
Yeah, you can.
But like
use
when
it
he's
to smack
hitting it,
people.
someone with it, it's got all that weight behind it too. It's pretty dumb. It's very like everyone else's returnee, like bullshit weight abuse.
Yeah.
It's a good time. But I'm not going to go into each of these tasks. They would take a long time to explain, and like each one is kind of worthy. But he like there's a lot of fun stuff that's established. Title Doluou have their own whole rules. Once you hit 95, like it becomes another whole thing. Like a 96th rank is 20% stronger than a 95th. 97th is 20% stronger than a 96th. 98th is 30% stronger than a 97th. 99th is 40% stronger than a 98th. So it's like these huge gains, and it's more about gaining new comprehension rather than just absorbing spirit power.
New power, yeah.
At that point, kind of similar to like understanding the profound mysteries of saints.
Yeah.
In Coiling Dragon. And your comprehension, what you have to comprehend, is based on your personal spirit, so no one can help you. It's something you have to do for yourself. Basically, we've gone on for, honestly, far too long at this point about this book, and I could gush about this forever. But the long and short of it is that Tang San is able to get the power of the sea god. He gains it legitimately, so he's stronger than his opponent, again, Shan Renjue, who has inherited the powers of the angelic god. They fight it out. Shan Renjue has basically... At every major failing of his life, Tang San's been there, so he's kind of his heart demon. There's a part where he became a god first, and Tang San was just a title Doluou, and Tang San was running away, and he escaped him as a god, And he was so pissed that rather than trying to pursue him and interfere with Tang San's godhood, he's like, if I do that, it's too low. I have to let him become a god and then beat him as a god.
Crush him as a god.
To be able to solve this in my heart. So he just sits down on the shore and waits for Tang San to ascend to godhood.
Seems like a good play, though.
What
Just
the
like,
pride?
it'll happen.
What a Vegeta movement.
So much pride. Wait, you're not perfect yet, Cell? Oh, wait.
No
What are
point
you
in
doing?
not fighting.
Stop.
you.
What are
Don't
you
do
doing,
that.
Vegeta? No!
Vegeta, no! He fights BB Dong, who had twin spider spirits. Fucking terrifying bitch. Holy shit, BB Dong, the Supreme Pontiff of Spirit Hall, is terrifying. Because she's like the last thing he fights, like the last real challenge he has as a human. Once he ascends God, it's like... And he ascends as a god within the last, like, 10 chapters of the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very late. So, like, he almost becomes a god, goes back to help fight the war against Spirit Hall, basically helps them win, because his hidden weapons are bullshit. Because he uses the Buddha Tang Fury Lotus, the greatest hidden weapon of the Tang sect, with the greatest area of effect attack, to go and decimate his opponents.
I have no idea how it works, but it just
It sounds
awesome.
so
That's
awesome.
what you do if you read all of Douluo Dalu. And it's worth it. It's worth it because, like, half of this series is learning about the things that this author foreshadows, and this author foreshadows a lot. It's a great story. There's supplemental material. Like, there's further stories, and all of those stories take place, I believe, basically, like, fairly long. Like, people start in the Tang sect. I think one of the stories after it starts in, like, the now defunct Tang sect. Like, after many, many years have passed.
So, like, what is it? The Soul World 2
I know there's
happens
Douluo
in the
Dalu.
Tang world?
Yeah, it
In
happens
the Tang sect?
well, not in the Ninja Tang sect world. The new Tang sect.
The new
established
Tang
in
sect
Douluo Dalu.
in
Yeah.
this area, it's like a sect member of the Tang sect?
Or something like that. Yeah, and like an old
That sounds fun.
a clan member.
And-
You said that there are other books that are in this like
yeah,
universe
there's
too, right?
I know there's Douluo Dalu 2 and 3. I think there's one that's like actually has like a title. It's like the Return of Soul Land or the Revival. of
The
Soul Land or
only
something.
reason I even know that there's a 2 and 3 is they have comics. So, like,
Yeah, but
I didn't read them.
I legitimately
just-
know nothing about them. It's one of those things that's been on the list for a long time, but I've been waiting for. I waited for Douluo Dalu to finish, and then I never actually like finished it for a long time. So I never started the next ones, but we'll get there.
Does anyone else in the Shrek 7 Devils become gods? Or is it just that?
I'll be
hard?
honest, like I haven't reread the ending since we started preparing for this. I just reread most of the 2/3. So people that were really looking forward to the more Ascent of the God stuff, I apologize. But I believe there was another one that started getting set up for it, but I don't remember. I know Tang San actually had 2 different gods because Tang San's grandfather, or someone who's related to Tang San, was actually the person who became the Slaughter God and established the Slaughter City.
Of
Of
course.
course. So it was just in his family blood. Oh my
and
god.
getting the Slaughter domain, the Death God domain, is the first requirement in
Becoming the next
being
Slaughter God.
eligible to ascend to the Death God.
Oh, so he just had to get his Emperor hockey.
Basically, yeah.
Huh.
But he actually does the Sea God thing instead and decides to go with that instead of becoming the Death God.
God, it's
Why
literally Destruction Clone all over again.
No, why didn't he just become the slaughtering sea god?
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
The sea god of slaughter.
There was a good you
Become a
you
mur-
cannot become 2 gods.
Become a
unfortunately.
murder ocean.
There's
Come
a
on.
whole there's a whole thing, and like
Murder.
that makes a lot more sense
Ocean.
because there's a lot of like
Murder.
the position that gods hold and the part they play is like very different than what you might expect. Like a lot of the part of the Ascent of Godhood is like learning what the actual real top part of this world is like and the various powers at play and like what's going on.
Do they have to like
and fighting
maintain
the
the world?
100,000-year Whale King. God, what a cool fucking thing.
Murder. Oh
So
shit.
you know how I talked about the fire and ice thing?
Yeah.
He like gathers a bit of that water like right at the beginning, like when he goes into the well the first time.
Sure.
And when he fights the whale way later on, he just like puts that in the whale, and that tiny bit murders the whale.
Of course.
Oh my god, the foreshadowing is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, he held on to that. Don't worry about
Yeah, he had it the whole time.
it. That whale did not eat those 2 plants at the same time and survive, so fuck it.
No, there's all sorts of great stuff that happens. The characters are all super fun. The romances are all like very like sweet in their own way. Like Dai Mubai and Juju King are this like star-crossed lovers like kind of thing, because like they were both born in the shadow of very talented older siblings, and their imperial family has a rule that once ascended, the rest of the imperial family is killed to prevent power struggles.
Makes sense.
Which has worked very well historically. It has kept a very strong imperial line, and causes strict competition between the younger bloodlines to weed out anyone who does not have talent. The reason he was in the Heaven Duo Empire is because he was so pissed at his fate that he just ran over here to fucking sow his wild oats and be despondent. The Hell 7 Juju King shows up on the Heaven Duo Empire because she's like, dude, don't fucking piss it away. Let's at least fucking try. Like, in her eyes, he was already her man, so... And that was decided. So she was either going to come here and whip him into shape so that they would succeed, or when he died, she was going to die with him. Before revealing this to Tang San, not to Dai Mubai himself, she has acted cold and distant to Dai Mubai the entire story. And then is like, oh no, he's always been my man. This has always just been the case. That's been true from the beginning.
Makes sense.
And then like Ning Rongrong and Oscar is such like a beautiful love story because like he comes bad the fucking badass, and like she's super pretty and like cute and adorable and has been treated like the cute little princess her entire life, literally. He is like was very pretty, but like had like a full grown beard that he shaved off. He grew it back when he was out in his like wilderness training and got the scar, and he's like, I'm fucking disfigured now. She's gonna fucking like I'm not worthy of her. And Tang San's like, you fucking stupid idiot. She's waited 10 years for you. Like, you think she's gonna care what you look like? He's like nervous and stuff, and then like they meet and like she instantly like runs to him and is just like super happy. It's like these like very touching, beautiful moments. And like Zhao Wu and Tang San's relationship, apart from being one of the major reasons why the plot moves forward, unfortunately, is this weird combination of both Grandmaster's tragic love story and Tang Hao's tragic love story. One of which is way worse, which doesn't seem possible, because Grandmaster's love story is that Liu Erlong is his cousin, and neither of them knew it until they had gotten married.
Ooh.
Oh.
They never did it.
Okay, cool.
But they're husband and wife in their hearts.
Yeah. Until they decided, why do we fucking care? We're strong enough. Fuck it. They were gonna in the tent. That's why the scorpion died. There was this whole like plot by other people to let this happen, and she was like, I don't care if I gotta rape you. This is happening.
I see.
And then the
scorpion attacked, and she came out, and she was like, I'll murder everything.
Man, we didn't get to talk about in this one.
No, we definitely can, because there's still more, and I think it would be fitting. We didn't even talk about the L4 Elemental Academies.
We gotta do business real quick.
Yeah, I mean, we do. But like, there's stuff to do.
I get it. Let me do business real quick.
Yeah,
I mean, he chides me every time I jump the gun.
It's fair.
Business. Sorry, I just got very excited about saying the word business all of a sudden.
Clearly.
This is an episode produced specifically for one of our patrons, Yuki Okami. We already mentioned that up top.
Yuki Okami.
Yuki Okami, thank you so much.
Whose name we have to mention every episode moving forward as well. Also, in that set of our patrons is James.
Our chosen.
James.
Right? That's his level? Right?
Yeah, I think.
Welcome.
He moved up. He's somewhere.
Regardless, the point
on
is
your...
he is also at a level where we do have to thank him at the end of every episode. So again, thank you, James. We really, really appreciate it.
Congratulations on your promotion.
Those two people are listening to this episode on like October 2nd or something like that. And everybody else has to wait until October 9th. So, if you wanted to listen early, like these cool people, you can join our Patreon. It's like not very much. And then you
that
can
being said,
listen
of
to
course, like if you can't, we understand. We've all been in a position where we don't have money. Don't hurt yourself to do that. But if you'd like to support us and you can, we would really, really appreciate it.
We also have a Discord you should come hang out in.
Yeah.
There's a link to it in the description. We're pretty active in there. Like if someone says something, we respond almost immediately. At least I do, and it's a good time.
One of us does usually.
Yeah, come join us. Like
it's a good time. We can have some nice chats about 9-star Hegemon body art and geek out together. It's nice to have a forum to be like excited about something and just go say something about it to someone.
Yeah,
it's not just like the subreddit where you see a post and it's just like, thanks.
Yep. Thanks for the translation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Douluo Dalu is a really great read. It is definitely not like Baby's first novel.
No.
I wouldn't recommend it if you're not kind of into this genre already. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone as a first novel, but it is an excellent one and something I do highly recommend to anyone who is in the genre.
Heck yeah.
Further business, I guess. Sorry.
I forgot to say Twitter at Tiger Coaster. Our email is tiger.rollercoaster@gmail.com. And I already talked about the Patreon a bunch. YouTube. We have a YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
we also have a YouTube. Feel free to subscribe to us on there. It's mostly just audio recordings of what we got.
But we're going to be putting up other stuff. There is a video of us showing off Kenny's Mahjong table. It's great.
It's actually shocking how many people joined the Discord from the YouTube. So shout outs to YouTube listenership. We never shout you out.
Thank you guys.
Shout outs to you
I don't
guys.
think we have. Hi, YouTube listeners. There must be some of you that listen exclusively to us on YouTube.
And shout outs to
That's very
Spotify
odd.
listeners too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks,
Anyone
Spotify,
on Spotify,
folks.
thank you so much. You support us financially as well.
Yeah. Weird. I can get that Spotify money. There weren't any actually new reviews past the 2 that we read last time.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks you guys for supporting us
And
as
thank
much
you,
as you
Yukio
have
Kami,
been.
for making me reread this novel, because like it was one of the, I think it was the second or third book that I actually did get into. I think it was Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, Coiling Dragon, Douluo Dalu.
What is the great 3 to start on?
I had no fucking shot, guys.
Jesus
like the
Christ.
quality of my first ones, I just fell in love.
See, I was Coiling Dragon, I Shall Seal the Heavens, and Against the Gods.
Damn, that's a good one. That's a good 3 too. Jesus Christ.
Oh, guys, I will report this just because it's very important to me personally. I've successfully gotten my mom to read Coiling Dragon now, and she not only loves the series, but also has started preaching about it to other people.
Oh, so good.
Oh my god.
So that's amazing and hilarious. I'm about to start getting her to read I Shall Seal the Heavens, which I think she'll be a fun experience.
Oh, she's gonna
There you
enjoy
go.
that.
Oh man, at some point we should definitely ask your mom to give us her thoughts on.
Yes, we
either
should
one
definitely
of
have
these
my mom
books.
record a 5-minute bit and have her give.
Yes.
send
Nah,
it in.
nah,
Like,
man. Interviewer
certain-
for Enlightened.
What's your?
Like that's not even a joke. That's
Mom.
certainly I need to hear your mom's thoughts on these books as well. And I know our listeners are also into
Oh, we
it.
had a straight up we geeked out for like 30 minutes on the phone. It was great.
God, my heart.
Um,
It breaks in the best possible
We were
way.
going to, she called me at 7 in the morning and was like, oh god, it's 7 in the morning, I'm so sorry, I thought you had work early, so I was trying to call early. And I was like, oh, it's all right, Mom, we can talk, but let's say some stuff, I'll go back to bed. And that was like an hour-long conversation because we started talking about Coiling Dragon 15 minutes in.
I never thought about getting my own mom to. I need to try that. Oh,
Yeah, which one do you think your mom will read?
Here's the trick. Buy her the ebook.
I will.
Make it real easy. That's very clever.
I will. 100%.
I think the first one might actually be free.
Dude, that's how you hook people, dude. I'm gonna do it, dude.
But yeah, no,
All right.
she very much, she said, what was very gratifying to me was she was like, this is just warrior training. Like, I like warrior training. I don't know why I was so hesitant to start these. And that was a very gratifying moment for me personally. So I wanted to share that with all of you.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you did. What didn't we get to talk about?
We didn't get to talk about the great 4 elemental academies that joined into one. We didn't even get to talk about the nightmare spirit Doluou, Xinyan,
Oh, yeah, who just got
who
insta-give.
got killed by Yama's invitation. We didn't even get to talk about Yama's invitation. If Yama asked for your death at midnight, who would dare wait till the 3rd watch?
Why didn't we talk about Yama's invitation?
Because it's one of his many
One of the
poisons.
3 greatest weapons. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. It is one of the greatest Tang San weapons, but not one of the greatest 3. Those are the Torrential Pear Blossom, the Buddha Tank Fury Lotus. I guess Yama's invitation is the 3rd one. I apologize.
It's definitely the greatest poison.
Yeah, it's just a needle that penetrates him is like poisonous.
It's
Great.
There's no antidote.
The Pearl thing has 365 hidden weapons, the most important being 12 different types of needles, all 12 of which will kill you by themselves.
Well, that seems excessive.
No, it's just a guarantee that one of them hits you.
You're gonna die somehow.
That's all it takes. One of them. And you're dead.
Yeah, no, there's no antidote for the poison because you wouldn't have time to take it.
We didn't get to talk about the 12 death needles. What else didn't we get to talk about?
We didn't get to talk about the Flying God Claw, the fucking
the-
Monster Hunter-esque slinger that he equips the Shrek 7 devils with.
Yeah, they just get.
I didn't get to talk about the time he used in Hell Road. He used his spider legs to leap 100 feet in the air, extend his grass 100 feet in the air, and then use his grass to trigger the controls to the Flying God Claw he attached to hook into the ceiling and pull himself up so he can use his spider legs to attach to the ceiling and crawl to the exit.
That's fucking
Jesus.
incredible.
Chinese Spider Batman.
Well, I think that's
Oh.
better than anything to.
He's Chinese
No.
Spider
That's
Batman.
just regular Batman. You
Yeah.
could just stand on a city street, shoot it up literally any direction, and it found purchase and got him up to.
Yeah, he can grapple hook up to most places, and it doesn't. It's not like. Okay, wait. So it's Chinese Spider Bat Doc Octopan. If we're really gonna jam them all together.
Iron Spider.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Iron Spider-Man. Yeah, that's fair.
I know I've said it 3 times now, but this is a great book. If you haven't read it, go read it. Yuki, I hope we did it justice, and I hope everyone else enjoyed the review. And we'll see you next time.
The fire and ice water is pretty much Tang San's shark propellant. See, he had it for that.
That's perfect. The shark repellent's there for that one reason.
That is an arc where he is killing all
There usually is. It's so weird. Sorry.
Well, thank you for listening.
See you next time.
Good night, everybody.
Tiger Rollercoaster Productions. Tigers are scary. You try to get off.